And for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Happy July. First item up, we have a series of meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the June 11, June 18, and June 29 meeting minutes?
I have very minor corrections on the June 18 minutes. At the very last bottom, so the next meeting will be June 11th. That's not correct.
You're right. I missed that one.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Silly typos. And on the June 11th meeting minutes, we have an adjournment that was noted to be adjourning at 10:40 a.m. It was more likely 7:40 p.m.
The 11th? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Good typos.
Well,
So with those corrections, I move that we waive the reading of the minutes and approve the minutes for all three meetings.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Abstract number 7. We have that kicking around here. Did you send me that? Oh, hold on.
I did not print mine out, unfortunately.
Oh, here we go. I got it.
These are the bills we just went through.
Yeah, these are all the bills. So the threw me off with the abstract number 7. I looked at it. So is there any questions with the bills or abstract number 7 for the bills that we just went through for this month?
The one question's been resolved, so I move that we approve the bills abstract number 7.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Tom, you ready for the supervisor's report?
Already. So if we want to start out with the receipts and disbursements, this would be the last page of the report. Scroll to that. Okay, so it was a very good month for town clerk fees, even with the limited hours. A little bit over $4,000 came in. Our night class interest continues to be challenging to us. As you recall, we were at 1.5% at the beginning of the year. At the end of June, we were at 0.31%. So still much better than the 0.02% that we were at before we started night class. So, but we could have some challenges at the end of the month. A little bit of court fines came in. That means they're opening up, doing some tickets. We got a small refund from Town Alliance. And what this represents is they took an estimate of what if we had cut back on a few people that would normally be working and put them into an administrative position. So they took a certain percentage of the higher paid or the higher cost workers' comp line and reduced them to as if they were just doing administrative work. So it was nice to have that. Charter Communications and franchise fees, that came in about what we expected, and we're looking for one that looks like we had a lost check earlier in the year. So we're going to work on trying to find that check with them, but the wheels grind slowly when you're dealing with Charter Communications. Highway, just some interest, trust and agency, normal stuff going on there. A little bit of interest coming into our capital development fund and a little bit into the water district fund. General abstract number 6, 48,000 was a little bit bigger than normal, but we did have some. We were catching up. We had a bunch of bills we caught up on the Excel waste, and also we had 3 months worth of attorney's fees, those types of things. So they all added up quickly. On the highway fund, very quiet month, and we did have the final payment coming out of capital development fund. Other than that, I don't think there's too much excitement. I looked at our spending year to date. General fund is at 40%. Our revenue for the general fund is at 83%. So we bond payments in the next couple of months, and I'm sure we'll have some road work coming up, so that will change significantly as well. But as of current, we are in great shape.
I'll make a motion to approve the supervisor's report.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Okay.
Bank reconciliation looks like it made it all the way around.
Did it? Is it back? Okay. All set with that? I'll make a motion to approve the bank reconciliation. All in favor? Okay. The,
only other thing I passed out was just a quick summary on our retiring employees, so you can see what will be paying out in benefits at the end of the year.
Sheriff, why don't you take us through that?
So it looks like on vacation, it'll be 160 hours, 48 hours of sick, comp time, which is way down at the bottom is the summary on that, 33.25 hours. And personal leave, I think we pay that out too as well. Jody, right? Is that the way you read the contract? It's not specifically addressed in our plan. So what it says is, money due shall include but not be limited to wages, accrued vacation, and any other benefits due under this agreement.
Jim, you want to weigh in on that?
I was listening. You're talking about what item again? Is it
So-
Unused personal time.
Yeah.
You say that's covered by that?
I agree.
Okay.
I agree because it says any benefit covered beyond the right.
And then the last column in blue there is the paid holidays, which I believe we pay those as we go, so I don't think we would get paid any balance on those.
I would agree with that,
Is
Jim.
that the way you got it, Jody?
Yeah.
So basically, the last holiday was 4th of July. He was paid for that, and then the retirement date is tomorrow. So then that's
Wednesday
it.
You can work this today, or tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
And the retirement date is the 11th.
Okay. Okay.
You can do that. And we basically want to know what we're talking about later. So I just wanted everybody to be aware of that.
So what was the total on that?
I think Jody tallied it up. 273.25 hours. So it's going to be a pretty significant chunk.
So that is, what's the rate, Jody?
It's right around $20.
Yeah, but I think he's in that longevity side too. I don't have the contract.
I didn't run the numbers on it, but he's at 23.
It's at the it's at the current rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, $6,400.
So I'll be writing that in a separate check for him. I mean, of course, cash can take a good chunk of that as well.
Okay.
And then we'll be closing that over.
Okay. Any questions on that? All right.
I think that's up to
Yeah.
me.
Since we're talking about our retirement, we do have a certificate we'd like to present to Francis for his recognition for his years of service to the town of Spafford. So we have that. Pass that along to Jody. You can get it to Francis. Thank you, and please thank him on behalf of the board for all his hard work and his years of service to the town of Spafford.
Thank you for doing that.
Alrighty, moving on. Town campus modifications. In terms of progress, Jody and I chatted beginning of the month. Beginning of the month. So we got a location for a footprint for our salt barn. I have some drawings to get to him that also we're out and having a look at kind of how that's going to lay out. In addition to that, probably a good idea to give the update on the boat launch. I didn't drive by this week. Is it getting close? It should be. Don't know.
I have no idea.
We met at the beginning of the month, wasn't it? Beginning of the month, and they were estimating there was about 3 to 4 weeks worth of work left to do. They were supposed to call me when they were finished up with it or getting close to it. I haven't received a call yet. And then we also met with a couple representatives from County DOT to deal with the kind of closure of Church Road. We want to make, or Church Hill. We want to make sure that's closed before, at least at the same time or slightly before the boat launch opens. And then get some signage out there and posted that. Have they done anything yet? Okay, they haven't. So that will be happening here shortly. Other than that, it's just going to be a little bit of retraining for some local residents that like to zip down that road and use it. It will be closed both at the top and the bottom. At the bottom will be a gate that can be opened, so if utility trucks have to get up and maintain or get access to the road for some of the lines that are coming down the hill, they would be able to. And then it's going to be closed up top. They did talk about possibly contacting a landowner and seeing if they could create a turnaround both for our plow trucks and just for people that get maybe down there with a boat and realize that they can't get the rest of the way down.
Yeah, the misreading signs.
Right. Other than that, not a whole lot of activity on. We have a. It looks like it. So moving on for departmental reports, Jody, why don't you jump in here?
So you covered the salt shed for me.
Yep.
And it is heard, Mr. Randall has retired. I do have his letter of retirement here.
I'll need a copy of that as well, please.
I don't know if the town board needs it or not.
Lisa and I both need one. I'll let him know.
As far as the full-time position open, I'd like to see it put in more places than the Eagle newspaper and the website. I was thinking, how about Indeed and some of these other newspapers with the rest of the town? I have had 0 calls. I had one prospect and he was flat out refusing the price he was going to take a cut and pay it.
So I didn't. Where are the other two publications you were suggesting?
The newspaper, like
Post
the
Standard?
Shopper,
Or the Shopper?
so
Okay.
this is, the other end of town, and then Indeed, the hiring website.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's over. Now we're at the one for it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Does anyone have a problem with advertising in more than a few?
Gotta do what you gotta do. Any idea what the website ads cost?
No, I don't. I didn't get a chance to look into that yet. I will look into it. So, yeah.
Okay.
We need a board resolution to advertise beyond the Phoenix Press, that's why we brought it up.
Okay. I make a motion to advertise the opening in the highway department for a full-time position in Indeed website, and Shopper, and the Penny Saver.
I think that's all just one, I believe. The
Yeah,
newspaper.
Penny Saver,
Yeah.
Shopper, the same.
Okay.
Everybody else works with it.
Any other ones we want to tack on to it at this point?
If anybody else knows, then I can't really think of any website thing, or newspapers.
What about like the Citizen? I mean Auburn. Just trying to think something relatively local. Yep. Does that hit a Tisco too? Okay.
So with that being said, we can be very little work done. We can do what we can, so we can accomplish a lot of stuff. We do have paving scheduled for beginning of August. Mr. Randall was very kind to offer a part-time paving. Had that out right now, so. I did hire a part-time though. We worked 2 weeks and got a full-time job, so.
You can always call him back and say, hey, I got a full-time opening.
If you had a CDL, that would be great.
Ah, okay.
So you made the motion.
We need a second. Yeah, I made the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, what else you got?
That's about it, I believe.
Okay.
The transfer station.
Oh, yep.
Let's nail that one on the head right off the bat. It's been a mess. It's going to be a mess for a while. The containers are working out good. I've relocked the whole place, so Casella no longer has a key. They've got to come and get all their containers that house the pump. I'm still going through the bill because there's a lot of billing that I don't agree with.
Okay.
And Packer was not working for a month. I don't feel we should be paying for that. So I'm still going through that. I'm not going to submit the vouchers yet.
Yeah.
Until I get that kind of out.
Hey, Jim, can we maybe send them a letter from your office? You know, all their equipment was supposed to be out of the transfer station on June 30th. And so,
Absolutely, and, do you want to tell me what the equipment is that they have not removed? You want to send me an email, you want to tell me
I
now?
can just tell you now, it's just the
Okay.
containers. I haven't talked to them myself because I haven't finished going through the bill, so I was gonna do all that in one shot and see what their schedule looked like.
You want to wait till you go through all that?
Yeah,
and
I'm
then-
hoping to get in contact with them on Tuesday. After that, I will contact them.
You got my email and everything?
No, I don't.
Okay. I'll give you one.
Okay.
in terms of Ciati, do we need more containers up there?
No, I think we'll be okay. I just have to go up on Mondays. I gotta go up, back them in, and they gotta remove them on Mondays.
As long as they can pull more often if we
They
need,
pulled twice already.
if we need to keep the same number of containers. But if we think we need more containers, we have it set up so they can add one, and we understand what that cost is going to be. So I know it's just for the month of July, but you know, if that would make it easier, obviously people still need to be able to move around up there. We can't have containers on top of containers.
Exactly. If we was to add another one, I think we'd have to add another trash.
Okay, well, I'll leave it up to you. I mean,
We'll see how this Saturday works out.
Okay.
And go from there. And Mike's been very accommodating.
yeah, he's been pretty good to work with.
One thing I don't know how if the town board knows, but he does not own the packet.
The Kinsella didn't own them either; they rented them.
Correct, but he has to order them before it is. I just wanted to let you guys know on that.
Yeah.
He said if he's not going to order it for him.
Conceptually, the plan is to have compactors for recycling and for trash.
Yeah, there'll be two compactors. Whoever gets the new bid.
Yes.
But it may take, depending on the company and what they have for equipment, it may take them a few weeks to actually get them.
Understood.
6 to 8.
Okay, well, I guess it just depends on who it is.
So, when I was up there on Wednesday, I saw several people, including some very short women, trying to keep their garbage
Oh,
up
yeah,
there.
it's a pain, you know, and I'm thinking there's a problem if I put them down by the ramp, since we have a problem already with people bringing in large items and that, they'll end up inside that container. So, Saturday, I will be up there during the day checking documents, and we are gonna limit how many people come in.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So it's a little bit of a re-education on finding things, hid behind buildings, stuff thrown in there, finding trash in Tully, Marcellus. Part of our problem is coming from outside of town.
Uh,
That's where we're at with that.
okay. So since we're talking about that, and Lisa, it doesn't look like that ever.
It's kind of just before the last one.
Yeah, and then
There was no subject, there was no, I just replied to
yeah, I don't have it.
Yeah, it has copies.
You have a hard copy?
Yeah.
So we do have the transfer station specs. So if you want to.
That's 21 pages, because I didn't include the annual report in the
Yep.
So we made a couple changes to our bid specifications that we bid last time. The one that kind of caught us out last go-round was the certified copy of the insurance. Okay, we removed that. So basically what the bidders need to provide now is an accord form with the town of Spafford listed as the additionally insured. That's pretty standard. People can get that basically with a phone call from their agent. So that was the big change that will kind of have that straightened out from the insurance standpoint. And then dates. So we talked about getting this out to bid. Well, at least I assume we can do this Saturday, maybe. Emailing it back out to the people. Is that possible?
I can send it right back out to folks on Saturday, yes.
Okay.
The 11th. It won't appear in the newspaper until the 22nd. I can get it back out on the New York State Contact website, which is where it was before. That's pretty much the very next day when I send it.
Yeah.
So
I'm-
when you want to send it.
I'm not even sure we need to put it in the. Do we need to put it in the newspaper? Just because the 22nd is going to be like a few days before we actually open the bid. Having it, we're emailing it back out to 20 haulers that we had contacts from before. It'll be on the New York State Contractor website, which goes out to all across New York State to people that subscribe to that. So it's going to be there. Is it worth putting it in the paper at that point?
You don't have to.
Because the 22nd is Wednesday. It's a Wednesday, and we talked about opening the bids on. I thought we said the 23rd, didn't we? Because we wanted to. We talked last time. We talked about the 23rd because we wanted to give them a week in July to start, like ordering their compactors or whatever, so they would have time to ramp up, and then by August 1st be able to pull in their equipment and hopefully try and shorten the window on if it's a completely new contractor, giving them a little bit of time to start getting stuff in there, giving Ciotti potentially time to get stuff out of there if that's the way it goes. So thoughts on that in terms of the bid opening date being essentially 2 weeks from today?
I would agree that newspaper publication is probably not going to be productive.
Yeah, no.
People who are interested know,
I think they know. Yeah, we have a good list. So
so I would not do that. And with that in mind, I think the 23rd is a fine day to schedule a special meeting to open bid.
So let's see here. So then the work will commence on August 1,
Yep.
and we'll take that through then July, was it 31st the following year? Or 3 years out, excuse me. And then so it will be emailed out on July 11th. Let's see here. Jody, do you want to have a scheduled time to do a walkthrough this go around?
No, I only had one more.
You only had one last time? All right, so we're going to strike the walkthrough. And then it'll be date and time stamped no later than 6 p.m. on the 23rd. Because I believe we have there's a planning board meeting that night. There's not? Oh, all right. All right. Well, I think 6 is okay anyways. We'll do it at 6, unless we want to meet at 5 and go earlier. It's really up. We're just opening bids. Any thoughts?
What day of the week is it?
It's a Thursday. If we do 5, it's kind of like the end of the business day, so people may want to come and drop them off. If we go later, they either have to get here before then or make sure they're mailed before then, or wait like a couple people did last time. I'd rather we kind of work it into the business day. At the end of the business day, I think that might get people dropping things off, between 4 and 5. And I'll make sure I'll just be here.
Work for your schedule? Does that work for your schedule?
It does.
Okay.
That'll work.
So is 5 p.m. okay?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll say 5 p.m. And that is going to be, what did I say? 7:23. Yep.
That's how some people
That's yeah. So as long as they get it in under before 5 p.m. or right at 5 p.m., we'll open the bids pretty much right then, whatever we have.
How many do you think this guy is doing now would consider going through the airport?
Sorry,
No?
try that again, Chris. I couldn't hear you.
The guy that's doing the contract right now, do you think he would consider going through?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely rebidding.
Okay, so as long as he
Matter of
knows.
fact, he called me the other day asking when it was, and I forwarded him.
Yeah. Okay, then the only other thing we did, we just wanted to clarify the bid form a little bit, and I can pass this around, but we put that on the top line, there should be the total bid for the 3-year contract, so one number, whatever that lump sum is, $10. And then we had a year 1 cost, a year 2 cost, a year 3 cost. Had them write it in. Last time there was some confusion on what to do, so we provided a line for each one of them. And then we had talked about last time putting in maybe a couple sub numbers that basically should add up to the year cost. So like, what's their compactor pricing? Are they renting? Are they going to buy the compactor? What are they doing? It still won't change their total number, but just seeing kind of how they arrived at their number may give us a chance just to see when we're looking at bids from Company A to Company B to Company C. And then we also put a line in there for quarterly maintenance. And this is up for discussion. But I think that the issues that we've had previous with the contracts is just maintaining those compactors, making sure that they're in working order. And I think if we force them to allocate dollars to that, still part of their lump sum bid, there's an acknowledgement that, yes, they understand, even though it's written in our contract, that it needs to be maintained. And maybe that quarterly maintenance needs to be spelled out, like whatever, lines need to be flushed, I don't know. But the whole point is, if those compactors aren't working, we're wasting money, it's inconvenient for the residents, we get other roll-offs up there, it's obviously not ideal. So I tossed those in there. I'm, again, open for discussion on what people think. But, yeah.
There is one other change, the liability, we wanted that increase, and I did do that.
Yeah, we put that in there. So we went to 500,000 and then to $1 million, and then we kept the property damage amounts the same. And pretty much all these guys have way above that. They typically have 1 million, 2 million, and then 5 million kind of umbrella. So that's well within. We're not asking anything unreasonable.
I think I like that.
Okay. We'll pass it back around here. We did receive a bid after the time frame. Last time, too, someone was trying to have, I think, UPS deliver it, and I tried on 2 different days to deliver it, and they didn't. So I actually reached out to that bidder specifically and just said, look, at the town hall hours are thus. So unless they're going to be delivering at this time, you may want to have someone run it out and drop it off to us or whatever. So I anticipate that they will be bidding again as well. Let's take a look at that. You all set? You happy?
Yeah.
All right. Just need a motion to approve the amended bid transfer station specifications.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? I want to pass that to Tom and or Lisa. I put some chicken scratch on there, Lisa. I think I got most of the spots. I know you're writing it down. Okay, that takes care of that item. We got rid of that item. Town clerk's report?
Marriage licenses are busy despite all the minimal gathering sizes, we still have some popping in. The minor sales were all free on sales, and we did sell them Terry Clark and Diana. Payment's getting after the area, but that's okay. Activity in the building department's picking up there pretty well, and transfer station has been quite busy. And there were 2 burials, also in Diana. The total for the town was $8,327.57.
I do see a transfer, or I'm sorry, not a transfer, a Rhode Island landing commercial use. Do we know who that was, by chance, off the top of your head?
No, that's definitely.
Okay. So that brings us up to 3 for the year, I think?
I think so.
Okay. I did get a email of a barge out in the lake with some nondescript people, so I don't know how I can, figure out who that person is, but we may want to keep an eye out and see if we can get some more information on it.
Was he correct that the permit is for the particular project? It's not an annual permit, is that correct?
I believe it is per project,
Per project?
not per.
Not, yeah, right.
And that's right, so the contractor gets a permit for project A, you've got to get a different permit.
And the only way for us to really know that is if, that work, some of that work still should be permitted through Howard's office. So if it is, seawall reconstruction or whatever, we still should get a copy of that, and that's when we would follow up and ask. Contractor typically be listed, he's got to get a permit. So if it's going to be barge, if they're doing it some other way, that's their business. Okay, that's town clerk.
The audit of the town clerk.
I haven't got there yet. We can jump over to that if we want to.
You were in town clerk, so.
Yeah. We also received the audit for the town clerks for 2019 for the records. CJ, you went through that, correct?
Nothing.
No, I'm sorry, Hannah. That's right. For some reason, I thought he did it. No issues with that?
No issues. It was good.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the audit for the town clerk? What'd you say?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What's so funny over there? What's so funny over there?
I wanted to know what you were laughing at.
All right, moving on. It's hot in here, boy. Town clerk. I didn't get a report from Jeff this month on the from the assessor on updates, but they're still continuing with moving around the properties town to town. No issues. He says it's been going well. That is a long process, so that'll be going probably right into the fall. Let's see. Code enforcement. I know Howard said it's been pretty busy, so permits issued 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 listed up there, and then COs issued to Sanctuary Lane, Pine Bluff, and to Morris Run on renovations to a camp. I know Howard said he's been pretty busy. He was on the phone, I think, today with Rich Abbott on a couple items, and so this is probably a good time to circle back around to the High Hickory Preserve. I had a couple additional inquiries from some residents. I did follow back up with both Mark Berger and Rich Abbott to make sure that they pulled the proper permitting in terms of their soil and erosion control plan. They do have that in place, so I can follow back up with some residents that had questions on that. If they had plans in place to do their driveway, etc.
That's not right.
What's not right?
No, because he's a shady character that has figured out when guys are on vacation and just moved in and started building roads and building parking lots with no permits from the watershed. If we farmers had done what he has done, we'd be locked up. We'd probably at least be looking at $25,000 fine. Mark Berger and Rich Abbott have not returned from vacation yet. I called them, left text messages from both of them. They sent out their little girls in trucks.
Mm-hmm.
The verdict was they're operating without a permit.
So I spoke to Mark and Rich today,
Okay.
and Rich sent me the plan that he has, the erosion and sediment control plan from CNY Land Trust that he's had, he said, for about a week or so. Did it happen exactly before, after? Sounds like he got a little bit of a jump on it without having it. I don't know. All I know is he has what he has now. Rich is satisfied with it. So, again, in terms of permitting, anytime you disturb more than 5,000 square feet of earth, you have to have a soil and sediment control plan. They have one in place. They're basically building a driveway and a parking lot. Honestly, we can't, as the town, very little we can do about that.
It's just really sad. Well, part of nature preserve them, I get, so that's the whole issue.
Yep, I hear you. I understand. I did suggest to him that it would be nice if he provided to the town ahead of time what the kiosk is going to look like, what he has, so that when we get phone calls, if you get a phone call, if I get a phone call, I can say, hey, this is what they're going to do. It's going to be a 10 by 10 structure, a 20 by 20 structure, whatever it is. I don't know. But a kiosk can be really small, or it could be larger. So is it going to be a kiosk that people can actually gather in, or is it going to be a kiosk that people walk up to? So that's the difference. Again, in terms of what he can do, he can pretty much do what he wants within reason. And it's not something that will be issuing permits on.
Well, one thing he did do that, it's a good thing I don't pack, that's all I'm going to tell you. My granddaughter ran out the door, he caught the door and got 1 foot in my door. I'm on the phone with my son and I said, get out of my house. It wasn't even an invitation to come in. So this is how bold this guy is. And he takes a mile for every little inch, and I don't even want to. Said, I'd like to pick your brain. Yeah, well, I'd like to do more than that to you. So it's just, it's bad. It's just bad. And he's got a roadmap of where he's going from here. So we've got to pass some laws that don't allow this business to take land off the tax rolls. We've got to pass something, a referendum, that doesn't allow this.
Jim, thoughts on that? We have multiple land trusts that have been working, within the town, and whether it's development rights for farmers or actual land that is being bought from a landowner and turned into a preserve. Legally, what kind of options are there for towns and municipalities in terms of?
I don't know the answer to that.
My sense is we can't really limit that.
My guess is that we can't prevent
Right.
a land trust from acquiring farmers and putting it into a land. That's my best guess.
Right.
And
it's frowned on to create zoning, to legislate through zoning. That's frowned upon. So it is a challenge for sure. And but again, I'm just not sure what mechanisms we could put in place or we could do to try and help manage that. It's just one of those. It's kind of a catch-22.
What I would like to see, because this is Central New York Land Trust, right? That goes into a non-taxable situation.
It's a 501(c)(3). CNY Land Trust is a
Finger
501.
Lakes Land Trust,
501(c)(3). Same deal. Yep.
same thing.
Same corporate structure.
I was contacted by an attorney that was representing one of these land trusts. And he asked me some questions about it. They're interested in actually building a nature center facility. So they're not done. They're interested in imagination. Just so you guys are aware, this is coming down the pipe too. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
But a facility, that would be subject to our zoning law because of the size and setbacks and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it's like mine.
Like once you get into occupancy within a structure that's permanent and not, or year round,
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more that the town can say, but it still would have to conform to our zoning regulations, setbacks, and whatever. And typically,
We don't have control over,
what they want to do.
the size of the land,
Right.
size of wide.
Right. So if they have 100 acres of land or 98 acres like High Hickory, theoretically, if you just wanted to play devil's advocate, you look at our coverage requirement, say our coverage requirement, just for argument, let's say it's 10%, it's actually more than that.
they could build out with impermeable surface, 90% of that 98 acres. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying that really kind of fits with the whole notion of preservation, but that's just the way our zoning is currently. And that's no different than really any other town if in the situation. The town of Skaneateles, if there is a preserve, and their coverage is 25% open space, then 75% could be built out with various structures and hard surfaces.
Well, if it's an acre preserve, I'm sorry, if it is the center that they were talking about is education center for waterfall. That could be considered to be a commercial enterprise. Might not fall within our zoning, I think they have to do it by special permit, which would give us control, a lot of control. We're just kind of
Yeah.
thinking out loud here.
What is something to look at, though? If it is something that is going to be used in a commercial nature, where there's scheduled hours and such, trying to bring people in on a kind of a tourist kind of thing,
Yep.
then that we would definitely have to kind of look at our zoning and see how that would fit, because currently we don't have a commercial zone district in the town
But we do permit it by special permit.
by special use permit. So to that end, there would be a little bit more of our control and our review process in something like that. Whether it's High Hickory or any other, nature preserve within the town of Stafford. So I guess we'll just have to see where it goes. I was pretty straightforward with them on, we kind of look at working with the land trust as a partnership. We'd like to see and kind of understand what you're planning so that, as a board, we have a chance to discuss this and provide some feedback. And so we'll see where it goes from there. That's really all we can do at this point. Any other thoughts or discussion items, comments on that?
They're headed the way they want. The quote that I got out of him was, "I want lakefront." And I was, wow,
Well, he's got to get across a road, and it's pretty steep from there down to the lake, so
Well, yeah, but no, there's plenty more land that's coming up, so and their fund sources are unbelievable. The kind of money that he's getting out of people is shocking. So, I'm just feel helpless. I mean, it's just terrible.
I understand that. Okay. Anything else on that? I'll just say that I will try and stay in contact with him pretty regularly just to kind of knock it off his radar. I know they're doing some other projects and some other land acquisition in Marcellus and some maybe in Tiscos and neighboring towns, so we'll just have to kind of watch there as well and see how it goes. Okay. So that's code enforcement. You said planning board did move their meeting back. No ZBA scheduled this month? Okay. Catch everything up top? I think I did.
What about the background planning over?
Oh, that's under the Bridge New York? Yeah. So we have, we're still waiting to get the letter back from the state. We have everything in. It's all, we're done once we did our public meeting. We sent that notification back into Bridge New York folks. They have to bless it and give us a letter. We haven't received that yet. As soon as we receive it, the drawings, the construction documents, and the specs are ready. They just need to be basically dropped off to the online bid services. We can put a link on our website, and we can have copies here, and then that'll go out to bid. We'll just have to pick a date for that. So, and that's something we could probably do right now in terms of the bid opening. We could have the bid opening mid-August, third week in August, somewhere in that time frame. not going to start construction until probably after Labor Day. So if we want to give them, well, we could actually have it at the end of August if we wanted to.
Your meeting's actually on August 13th, so pretty late in the month already. It's mid-month.
Yeah, but we're waiting on the letter, so say we don't get that for another week, that only gives us like a 3 to 3.5 week to 4 week bid time frame. I'd like to see it out for 5 or 6 weeks personally. What's our meeting date in September? The 10th? Do we want to wait that long?
My guess is that in August bid opening, it'll be more likely to start the project right after Labor Day. Again, Moon Hill got a little bit caught short by the weather at the end of that project.
Yeah.
And this one might get caught as well. But if we can get it started a little earlier, we'll get a better chance of
Yeah.
get it done.
We could have a bid opening on Thursday, August 27th. You happy with that? Is that okay?
Fine with me.
Yeah.
And then let's do again earlier in the day. So let's do a 5 p.m. on that. So, can we make a resolution to say? Do we need the start date on that, or we just need the bid opening date? We make a resolution that will, once we receive the approval from the Bridge New York folks, that we will get it out and posted within like 2 business days from receiving that approval, and that the bid opening date will be set for Thursday, August 27th at 5 p.m. Is that reasonable, Lisa? Does that work for you, Jim?
Yes.
Okay. So I made that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? All right. So that'll get us at least, hopefully ahead of the game, we can get it out hopefully this month before our August meeting and be ready to receive bids on that. Okay. Holbrook Valley Cemetery plot map, still on my computer. Vesco Farms PDD, I don't have any updates on that. I haven't heard from anybody, both here at Howard's office or from the various engineers and architects that are working on it. Port Isle Cemetery survey progress. Actually went out there last week, so I just got to chase down their final report and map to us, and then we'll have that in Lisa's hands so we know where we are with that. That takes care of the old business. I believe we hit all the new business. Lisa, is there any other items you had?
Yes, I had 3 minutes on that.
Okay, well, we can circle back around. Anything else from...
There's something I had 3 minutes on that.
Chris, I got one.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that we can sit down and finalize the plans on the Excel sheet?
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that next week. Just pick a day, let me know. Thursday?
Is that something that the town board has to approve in terms of bids? Is that-
I'd like to see what the plans are, so that we can, if there's any adjustments, so we can move pretty where, see what we got going.
The size is based on kind of what we can afford in terms of the size, so it's pretty straightforward. To try and save some money, Jim, I guess I'll ask you if it would save the town board some money, I could seal the plans personally through my company and put them out to bid. If that's allowed, I don't mind doing that, and we won't have to have an engineer, pay an engineer to do it.
As long as there's no compensation being
Nope.
transferred, there's nothing wrong with it at all.
So I can do that. I can seal them and drop them out there. The top of it's a prefabricated structure, so there's no design that I would be responsible for. It's essentially just the foundation walls and the slab and the reinforcing that's inside there. I already have it drawn up. It's pretty straightforward. So I don't mind doing that. It's a one-pager. And you can put that together and send that out. So as soon as that's done, you're okay with it, we can probably send it out to bid, beginning of August, if not sooner. Okay.
You do have a liability policy, right?
Yep.
So then when When it all caves in.
You'll know where to find me.
Few weeks too, right?
Yep.
So,
You could probably set that bid opening for the same date as the other one.
We could set the bid opening for the same date if you want to.
Let's just go over and see what we got. I just kind of started today with cover all this. I don't know what the heck.
Volcraft.
I'm sorry.
Volcraft, like design basis for Volcraft. So the way I would approach it is, you specify design basis based on a company. That allows other companies that have similar products to also submit pricing. But because you do a design basis, then you can refer directly to that product. And again, it's the aluminum structure with the cover on it.
Can't really find a cover.
Exactly. And then it basically just sits on top of the walls. And basically they own from the top of the wall up is all their product supplied and installed. And then from the top of the wall down is essentially a foundation contractor. So, if you guys wanted to prep the area or do anything like that, like the pad area, or you want to leave it all up to the guy coming in to do the work, that's something you could decide. But I would just as soon have it all responsible for the guy that comes in and does the work.
Well, being cool again now. We wanted to handle.
All right, so we'll have that bid opening on the same date, and then I'll get with you, and then we'll circulate that around. So we need to make a resolution to authorize the board to put that out to bid as soon as it's ready. After I speak with you, and then we'll have the bid opening on same date, same time, I guess. Yep,
What was it then?
August
27th, 5.
5 o'clock. So you made that motion?
I did make that motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jody, I would just maybe have, if you could reach out to a couple of the other towns that have done some sheds and see who bid on them and get a list of guys from the foundation standpoint. That way we can, you could reach out to them ahead of time and let them know it's coming, so we get good representation on the bids. I'm not worried about the prefab side. There's a ton of guys that will bid that and be pretty aggressive. But the foundation side, especially now with the workload, that might be something we want to really chase down and make sure we have a good list of bidders to come in and do that work.
We're kind of tough right now with the building, or the Amazon.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear any of that. With the what?
Very difficult to get concrete contractors right now because they're all being pulled out to the Liverpool.
Oh, to the distribution center. Yeah. I know a couple guys that are always busy that are really good, and if we could entice one of those guys to come in and get it done like within a week, really quickly. If you get the right guy, that would be both lucrative to them and beneficial to us to come right in and get out. You don't want someone to come in and be here for a long, long time. So, but yeah, we'll go from there.
So I'll be with you Thursday evening.
Yeah, sure.
Chris, thank you for your stand.
Yeah, no problem. Hopefully it doesn't fall down.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Foundations don't generally fall down. They rumble.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yes, so the bonding, yep. So I got some information from you, Jim, on the bonding. So two things are happening. Our note is maturing in September for the $1.6 million we borrowed for our two projects. We borrowed the 1.6, or the cost for both projects, because we need to pay out Stafford Landing and then submit for reimbursement for the grant we got. So we need to have all that money essentially in our bank account in order to complete that project, and then hopefully the state will reimburse us in a reasonable time frame, but we're not assuming that. So that note is, again, maturing in September. I spoke with our consultants, and he recommended and I agreed that we extend that note for 1 year. So essentially not go into long-term borrowing this September, but go into long-term borrowing next September. So what we budgeted for this year, we budgeted for an interest payment, and we also budgeted for a portion, a principal payment. So we can still make those payments this year, and it's a good idea to do that. We budgeted for it. There's nothing wrong with that. So we can make those payments, and that would change that long-term borrowing number now, and then when we get reimbursed from the state of New York, we then would go into long-term borrowing by paying off the amount of the grants to pay down the bigger number, and then whatever's left over, that would be our long-term borrowing, and then in, I guess, 2021, be 21, 22 would be into the first year of the paying the long-term.
You're allowed up to 5 years of renewals, and actually under the state extended that to 7 years. So if we get to this point next year and the interest rates are not favorable to going to long-term, we can renew it monthly.
Yeah, and the interest rates are obviously favorable right now because when we plotted out kind of our payback, interest rates were, well, they're essentially zero right now. So we're not getting hurt in terms of an interest calculation on the loan. We'll actually be paying back less total interest if the rates stay about where they are now when we go into long-term borrowing. But the notion would be to go into long-term borrowing next September. It would be the plan. That the project would be done, we would be reimbursed from New York State, and then we could go into long-term borrowing.
Any funds that are left, we'll return that, and then it's just the bonding amortization.
Yep.
What's going to happen with the other projects that were identified after the 2017 flood? My memory, there were 5.
Right.
Done Moon Hill, we're doing the Stratford Landing culvert, but there were 2 others, Stratford Landing and Bacon Hill.
So we did the ones that were the highest priority, both from in our grant submissions. Those were the ones we identified as the 2 highest priorities, and we did set aside with that borrowing. We set the amount to take care of all of them, but it's unrealistic that from a borrowing standpoint, the cost of that long-term borrowing and that payback was significant. So with those other projects, I think what we would need to do is look into more of a maintenance and a smaller cost instead of complete reconstruction, but maybe more of a maintenance plan, and kind of reprioritize what's left and try and work it into our yearly budgets and say try and hit 1, maybe 2 every couple of years, or maybe 1 every 2 years to kind of finish those out in a reasonable manner. So that could be a combination of, depending on how we approach it, planning out over a number of years. So that's something that I think we really need to discuss and kind of roll our sleeves up this budget cycle. Kind of look at any potential impacts from the state of New York, look at what our long-term obligations are going to be in terms of paying down our initial loan, look at our highway budget, see where we are with equipment, because we're in pretty good shape currently, and then say, all right, from a capital standpoint, what can we set aside and when can we attack these remaining projects that we identified in 2017? Does that make sense? And really, we're not sure what's going to happen with the state. We don't, I think people are keeping their fingers crossed that the money that we receive from the state is hopefully not going to be, in terms of chips and things like that. We're hoping that's still going to come through. We don't receive a lot of other revenue influx from the state on that end. It's a little bit different than some of the larger towns and municipalities, so we're a little bit more protected in that sense, but, we also have a lot less to work with anyways, so.
I have 2 towns that are submitted for the first round check, so I will have some more.
Okay.
Next month I'll have some more detail on how they get through.
Okay.
Their payments are later this month. So if they get 80%, then I'm going to be telling you that it will take 80%.
Okay. So with that spreadsheet, there's a few more items that have to be filled out by Jeff and by the building department. I filled out a bunch of the tabs. We'll get that back over to them, and then they'll go into the process of going in and extending that note for 1 more year, and we'll just kind of keep trucking along like we did before. Anything else on that, Tom?
No, I think that's about it. I mean, if we got through the bid process, we would have returned more to principal at this point. I'm not sure if we can do that with the first place. We're not looking at our bids until the end of September. I think we already renewed, but the renewal dates aren't going to match. Put it out to bid for
Yeah, we could still, when that renewal comes, like we had set aside, was it 63,000? 84,000? Okay. So we could still make that payment as part of the renewal, because it's in the budget, we can do that. So I guess that would be we had planned on doing that. Does that need a resolution to be paid out? That
No,
would
but
just,
it needs, when they issue the bond, the notice of bond or bid, they need to know that we're not bonding for the whole amount, we're going to take the 84,000. So.
yeah, I think we're saying the same thing, but
Yeah, I
maybe
think
not.
so. So right now,
So the number now, let's just to make it easy, let's say it's $1.6 million, and we have budgeted 84,000 plus the interest payment.
right, so the interest payment, but we're going to pay off, so we're not going to borrow another 1.6 million.
Correct. It's going to be 1.6 less the 84. Yeah, that was the understanding. I said with the agency that's what we'd want to do. We've already budgeted money, so we go ahead and make that. We reduce that total amount down by what we had already budgeted this year, and then that rolls for another year. We get reimbursed on the Spafford Landing project. We pay that down, and then whatever's left goes into the long-term borrowing. Okay.
And any extra money is above what we actually spent gets returned against that bond. So we only borrow for the long term what we actually spent, not what we borrow. So we stand a really good chance of, maybe only borrowing 700, 800.
Yes,
Oh.
that's the plan.
And if the state had come through for us early enough, we could have even reduced that, because we would have known what we needed to
Yeah,
do.
right.
Planning, but unfortunately, that didn't help us.
Yeah, we couldn't run that risk of not
Yeah.
borrowing that money and not having in hand to reimburse the contractor with the state. So, all right, round and round we go. Is that it? Yes. Yep. I believe did that go around in this list? Okay, so we made the payment last month, was that final payment, and then once that was approved, they sent around basically the retainage, which is the last little bit, and so that did not get included in the voucher. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. It's signed off by Doug. It's approved.
Do a voucher right now for it, if you sign up, you know the amount.
Uh,
You can get one, I don't know, think about it. So it should be on the lower end of that.
yeah, hold on. Yeah.
That's the last one.
Yeah, this is was adjusted, so what's left?
I would have expected
It might have been this one here. They might have just included both for
it looks like must be that 8,000.
the 8,700.
Change order. Yeah, 51,925.
Yep.
Can you forward that to me, too, Chris?
I think I did already, but I'll do it again.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so we'll need a couple signatures on that.
I got some point information for the board.
Yeah.
That's not
Okay. Since this is a new bill, we'll just do a motion to approve this separately here.
Motion, yeah.
We'll make a motion to approve the final bill to Slate Hill, which is the retainage that was left over, which is the amount of $31,925.00. I need a second. All in favor? All right. Back around, I'll sign. Okay? If there's anything else, we can have a motion to adjourn. Anyone? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything from the audience tonight? Any questions?
I know, right now, this transfer station, I know it's your interim mess with it right now. But anything we can do out there to help people, we're not over 6 feet tall. And
Are you calling me short?
I called you a lot. Anyway,
You're on camera too.
I know I am. You know, or, elderly, whatever, I've been up there, I go up there, and I stand in the back of my pickup truck, but probably more so on the recyclable, container, you get stuff up, because A, it's not supposed to be bagged, so therefore they're trying to dump stuff in the, either cans, or the food bins, or whatever, to get up there, and get it over the top. It's very much, struggle.
Yeah.
And I personally, really negative comments from people with that, can't hear them, sometimes not pleasant stuff.
Yeah.
So anything in the interim that we can come up with to help them out, I think will be beneficial. I know it's not going to be forever, but at this time of year, especially if it's hot outside, temperatures are going to be a little bit short. That's all.
And that's right, putting one of the trash
Yeah.
that would be helpful there. I'm afraid if we, one trash wants to recycle them, that we think we can grow between each.
My guess, and this is my guess, that the recyclable, you said recycling all that loose stuff, okay? So people are there with their blue bins, and I'm not, I might have a garbage can, the garbage. Your garbage, I say, it appears to me when I hear it, this is just my view, okay? So I can't prove anything, that people, their garbage, more of their garbage, they've got plastic garbage bags except for a few people. So taking a garbage bag and pitching it over the top is a lot easier than doing the recycling. That's,
So there is a shorter recycling
what is going to have extra ones like that. Like I mean, it is just absolutely full. I mean, the other bigger one is rounded over the top. But I mean, there isn't a lot you can do in the interim, but whatever.
There's just one recyclable up there.
There's two. There's a little short one that has the doors on it, so the little
The gable event, right?
It's got doors on it, and like that, it's full, and then probably, so they're going up over the top of the 30-yard, might even be a 35-yard, so I can try switching that with more of the shorter.
Shorter height wise, that's the big thing, is the height on that.
Yeah, you can turn the camera off.